While most of our attention has been devoted to the pandemic, there's an ongoing health crisis that's only gotten worse. Drug abuse and overdoses. The CDC says deadly drug overdoses set a new record last year and went up once the pandemic started. The Drug Enforcement Administration says it's never too early to educate your kids on the dangers of drugs, especially opioids. That's why the DEA says this is a story all parents should see. Brian McNeil with the DEA is hiding drugs, in this case hot tamales and everyday objects you might find in a teen's bedroom. We gave him free range to set up hiding spots in this room.
Drugs, it's always been in the suburbs. There's this misconception that it's an urban problem, and then there's this misconception that meth is a rural problem. It's a problem.
Enter Lapeer County mom of 4, Sarah Griffin.
I would hope that I can find them, that I would know where to look if I was suspicious if my child was either doing drugs or maybe hiding them for a friend.
She agreed to take on the challenge.
Feel free to rip the place apart.
And look for the drugs hidden in plain sight.
Where to start? So I'm going to start at the door, I guess, and then work my way around.
We set up multiple cameras to capture every angle of the search. She wastes no time tearing the room apart, and within the first 30 seconds, misses one of the hiding spots. She didn't realize McNeil hid drugs in that highlighter pen, but she quickly moves on, checking this stuffed Minnie Mouse on the bed.
Hidden in the Minnie.
From there, she cases the rest of the room, tearing up the sheets, checking under the mattress. She then becomes suspicious of the soda cans on the dresser.
It doesn't sound like pop, but how the heck would you get them in a pop can that's sealed?
She manages to unscrew the top, revealing it's a decoy can.
It's a fake pop can.
She moves on to make even more discoveries.
Inside the shoe, mixed in with the Tylenol. So with my daughter, I would have trusted that those were Tootsie Rolls.
Before she wraps up, something tells her to go back and check the pictures in the room.
Fell from behind the picture.
After several minutes of searching, she feels confident in what she found.
Hey, I think I checked everywhere.
Overall, Sarah found 9 out of 12 hiding places.
I think you did fantastic.
The highlighter's thrown me off too, the pop can definitely, and then the makeup.
McNeil shows her how some items, like the fake soda can, may not catch your eye.
One of the things that unfortunately is available is, this could certainly be used for a legitimate purchase. I mean, maybe you want to hide some keys or something, but something like this can be purchased. I got this for $8. Another common place in the top 10, makeup.
I did not find those either. The makeup and the pop can were definitely places that surprised me.
Sarah has a 14-year-old daughter and admits talking about drugs hasn't been at the top of her parental talking points list.
We have never talked about drugs. We've talked about vaping and what vaping can do to your lungs and how that affects your health and that it's not a good decision. But beyond that, we've never talked about taking pills or smoking weed or any extent of drug use.
That's despite the fact she lost a friend and past coworker to an overdose.
I tried to find him on Facebook and had found out that he had died of an overdose. And it's heartbreaking because you look back and you think you knew what they were doing, but you never thought they were gonna die.
She also lost her cousin.
Unfortunately, he was with a group of friends and they were being pulled over, and he had decided to swallow everything that they had in the car so that the cops wouldn't find it, and he died from doing that.
And the interview turns even more emotional as she thinks about the lasting impact.
You hear some people say, like, drug abusers just deserve to die. Or, if somebody has an overdose, then good, it's one less drug user on the earth. But their dads, their friends, their brothers, their sons, their moms, their aunts, their sisters, they don't deserve to die. They deserve somebody to tell them that they're cared for, that they're loved, and that we can look for help.
Does your daughter know that you feel this way?
Probably not. Probably not. It's probably something I need to tell her.
For McNeil, he sees the dangers of drug use firsthand every day.
Imagine if you take a plane like a 737 and fill it with passengers and ram it into the ground. That's how many people we're losing every day to overdoses.
He encourages parents to talk to their kids.
I hope this mom or whoever is watching is just aware of what drug abuse can look like, what are those signs, and then if one person, if we can reach just one person, I feel like it's a success.
No matter how open you feel your relationship is with your child, there's always more that you can talk to them about.
McNeil says an often overlooked but common place for drug abuse to start is the medicine cabinet. He says that's where a lot of teens start to experiment. The DEA is encouraging you to get rid of any unused prescription drugs, all a part of a National Drug Take-Back Day that's happening this Saturday, April 24th. Here's a look at the DEA's website where you can plug in your location and find a take-back location near you. We'll post that link along with this story at ABC12.com. Matt Barbour, ABC12 News. In light of recent events across the country, departments say they're looking for a non-lethal use of force option. And officers with the Grand Blanc Township Police Department got to try out that new device. It's called Ebola Wrap. It's hard to capture on video because the Ebola Wrap fires an 8-foot-long Kevlar tether at 270 feet per second when 10 feet away from someone.
You feel the impact, but there's no pain.
It wraps around the person's body at lightning speed, giving officers a better chance of making an arrest without a fight.
Chiefs, administrators, and communities are demanding it. They want options in the hands of their officers so that they can take people into custody and temporarily restrain them in a much more humane way without paying compliance.
Dan Savage spent 36 years in law enforcement, 32 of them in Grand Rapids. He trains officers how to use the device.
I think it's going to save some lives. I also think it's going to save some careers.
About 180 law enforcement agencies across the country already use the Ebola Wrap, and following the death of George Floyd, the company says more than 400 departments have reached out to learn more.
I want you to aim just above the knees.
I even got a chance to use it. Wrap. I would have tried it on myself, but Savage said it would rip a hole in my suit with the anchors.
You did fine, Matt. You did fine.
I would say in the last few months, we have seen an increase in the types of calls where people are suffering some type of mental issue.
Sergeant Scott Thiede with Grand Blanc Township PD says times are tough with the pandemic and lockdowns, and a device like this could make a big difference with compliance.
Right now, basically, we have verbal, and then we would have to escalate to, in our department's case, to a taser.
The Ebola Wrap itself costs around $924 each, with a single-use cartridge at almost $30. But Thiede says it would be worth the cost to accomplish the department's two goals when going on a call.
One is that we and the officers that are on scene go home safely. Also, that the person that is in crisis gets the treatment and the help they need.
Now, Grand Blanc Township PD says it's not fully committed to buying this device just yet, but it is seriously considering it. In Grand Blanc Township, I'm Matt Barbour, ABC 12 News. It's become a part of our everyday lives, putting on a mask for entering a building or crowded spaces. But you may not be actively thinking about the number of surfaces you touch every day, or how often you touch your mask to adjust it, or what may be on it if worn multiple days in a row. I wanted to get some answers. Let's take it off and see what we got here.
Are we sure we're ready?
I don't know, but
It's probably grimy and gross.
well, that's okay. Let's see. Oh, wow. So there you go. She has makeup all on her mask. I'm sure that's a common sight for some ladies out there. All right, let's go and put it in the bag. I submitted my mask and a mask from my coworker Don Jones to EMSL Analytical for microbiology testing, overnighting the mask to a lab in North Carolina. For the purposes of this experiment, we both wore our masks for a few days.
Everybody is just looking for information in the wake of COVID.
After 2 weeks, Melanie Reach, the National Bacteriology Program Manager, went over the results with me after the lab identified several types of bacteria, things like Micrococcus lylae, Staphylococcus epidermidis, and Trupperella pyogenes. They all may sound scary, but
Pretty much everything that was isolated from both of these masks are what I would consider normal skin flora.
with the exception of one unidentifiable bacteria rod on Don's mask.
Because it was unidentifiable, we can't really say what it was, but I can say that if it was something significant like a E. coli or a pathogen like salmonella or something like that, that it would have been identifiable.
So overall, good news.
It is healthy to have a certain amount of bacteria on your skin as long as it's the good bacteria.
But what about the bad bacteria?
You can have bacteria stay viable on a mask for a long time if there's also a lot of organic debris on it. So if it's a really dirty mask.
Dr. Ryan Sinclair is an associate professor of environmental microbiology at Loma Linda University School of Public Health in California. He preaches about the importance of proper mask care.
That, you're actually putting an active vacuum on this thing. So you're pulling germs and you're pulling things from the air in.
He's dedicated his career to studying how to disinfect various surfaces.
Our whole society is building a new habit, and we have to be vocal about the best ways to manage this new habit.
He says there are two great ways to sanitize your cloth mask. First, the more obvious, putting it in the washing machine. He suggests setting your washer to high or use water that is 140 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Use your washer's sanitize cycle if it has one. Make sure to use a detergent that contains disinfectant or bleach to ensure you're killing as many germs as possible. Dry your masks on the highest dryer setting or use direct sunlight. If washing by hand, prepare a bleach solution of 5 tablespoons of bleach per gallon of water and soak for at least 5 minutes and rinse thoroughly. Did you know you can also disinfect your mask with a pressure cooker? You'll need a slow or pressure cooker with a sous vide function. Cover the bottom of the cooker with water, place up to 3 masks inside a paper bag, and set it on the rack inside the cooker. You'll steam the mask for 30 minutes on the sous vide setting at 140 degrees. Sinclair says pathogens like bacteria and viruses can live on cloth fabric for longer than one may think, up to 8 to 12 hours. Although tedious, he says you should wash your reusable masks daily.
There's some bacterial spores that can stay on there for, up to a month, but those are more rare.
Which is why it's all the more important to be wearing a clean mask. Melanie Reach agrees, saying it's the key to keeping bad bacteria away.
Those types of bacteria don't really survive very well on dry surfaces.
Early on in the pandemic, there were some theories out there that have since been debunked that wearing a mask harbors germs and can actually make you sicker. The bottom line, as long as you have a clean, dry mask on, you're good to go. Matt Barbour, ABC12 News. Research already shows spending time outside has a positive impact on your mental and physical well-being. Well, more and more evidence shows spending time outside has a positive impact on your child's development. Think about the last time you took a walk in the woods, smelling the trees, or letting the sun hit your face.
I think it's beyond you. It's like this transcendent experience that you don't create, you just join into.
But it wasn't just the appreciation of nature that initially inspired Livingston County mom of 5, Jenny Urich, to get outside.
I was drowning as a mom with little kids.
That was around 2013.
I just didn't really know how to spend my time. So we were doing this program, that program, this thing. It was a half hour here, a half hour there. It was exhausting trying to get, little ones ready, and everyone's in a diaper and everyone's crying and you got to get them out of the car.
But fast forward to 2021. Her family now lives on a 14-acre farm in Pinckney.
Actually, we're kind of legit farmers, I feel like, once we got the cows.
We stopped by in early March.
Everything is thawing out. So exciting.
And got a tour.
The one with the dots on it is called a guinea hen.
Now her kids, ages 4 to 12, spend the majority of their time outside.
I really love the animals. It doesn't really ever get boring.
We made this shift to going outside, and at first it was just for me. It helped me pass the day, but I learned so quickly that there are these astronomical, lifelong benefits for kids.
Urich started a blog in 2013 documenting her family's adventures with the goal of spending 1,000 hours outside a year.
I thought, well, what if we balanced it? What if we were trying to match our nature time with screen time?
Back in 2013, the average American child spent about 1,200 hours a year looking at screens. But now, according to Sanford Health, the average child spends 7 or more hours a day in front of a screen. That's more than 2,000 hours a year. And even more screen time has become routine because of the pandemic. Compare that to just 4 to 7 minutes a day in unstructured outdoor playtime.
Very quickly, the kids were thriving. I was thriving. We did a complete shift.
Her mission, 1,000 Hours Outside, was born.
I describe it as a movement or a journey.
Her blog grew into a Facebook page and Instagram account with more than 400,000 followers combined.
It has spread across the globe.
People are now joining in, posting pictures and videos. It's a challenge my family took on last year. Here's a video and some pics from our winter adventure to Tequamanon Falls in the Upper Peninsula. We only made it to 921 hours in 2020.
You know, we've had babies and new jobs and moves, and we don't always make it either. We usually get, we usually get there, but sometimes we've been in the 900s too. And I always say, whether you make it or not, you win.
URH will be the first to tell you it's not all about the numbers. It's about the benefits for your children.
It helps them academically, surprisingly, helps them emotionally and socially and physically.
The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry says too much screen time can lead to sleep problems, lower grades in school, and less time learning other ways to relax and have fun. The nonprofit Child Mind Institute has a long list of reasons why children need unstructured playtime, saying it builds confidence, it promotes creativity and imagination, it activates more senses, and it reduces stress and fatigue.
And they're excited about it, and so that type of hands-on learning tends to stick with all those sensory experiences.
And while she lives on a farm, URH says nature meets you where you are, whether you live in a townhome like she once did and have to walk to your local park, or you live out in the country. She says the most important reason to get back to nature is making memories.
My favorite response is when people say, I would have missed this moment. This is an investment in yourself, it's an investment in your children, and it's an investment in your family. So it's a sort of a win-win, win-win-win.
1,000 Hours Outside has several different charts you can print off and log your time with your kids and fill out. We have that and other helpful resources for you linked to this story at ABC12.com. In Pinckney, I'm Matt Barbour, ABC12 News.